Okay, today we're going to talk about one of the number one things people struggle with welding aluminum. Where they struggle with is the aluminum is not clean. So the aluminum, anytime you're TIG welding, whether it's 3003, 5052, or T6 or 6061, it's got to be clean. So what I use is just a little stainless steel brush that I use to clean this really good, and there's a proper way of doing it and there's a wrong way of doing it. Sometimes people think that they just kind of barely brush it and it's clean, but there's actually a coating on here that we have to get off. So it's going to be like a bright white when we're finished with it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you here what it looks like before I start, what it's going to look like if somebody thought they were doing it, and then what the proper way of doing it is. So this right here is before we even start. Now let's say that you had your brush and you had everything and somebody thought, oh, well, we'll just clean it here and that's good enough. Well, it's not. So let me show you. So you see how much brighter white this here is than versus if you would have just scuffed it a couple of times. You're looking for this really shiny bright right here. So if I was to weld this spot up here, I want to make sure that I got this extremely clean. Now let's say this is going to be a showpiece. Don't worry about that, because by the time I'll show you, by the time we weld over that, you won't see where we clean this. So you can see the difference between this and this of how clean this is. So this metal is extremely clean, just like it is all down through here. It's really clean. There's no dirt, there's no marker, there's no pencil, there's nothing in there but clean aluminum metal. And we are just about ready to start TIG welding this, and we'll show you the techniques that we use. We've got our TIG rod, and you kind of want to make sure it's clean. Some people, you could take Scotch-Brite and do it. Me, I just kind of make sure that it's really clean, that there's nothing on it, and that this is clean, and we'll be ready to go. So like we've discussed before, this is very important to have a clean weld, and focus on each part that you're doing, because you don't want to be thinking of something else as you're trying to TIG weld this, because then it's not going to come out the way you're looking for. So let's go ahead and get started here. So now that we've taken it, we've cleaned our aluminum, and then we've TIG welded our aluminum here. So as you can see here, see how all clean this is? And you can't even see where I brushed, but you can see this little white line. That's burning the coating off, which is normal. It's totally normal. But you can kind of see how clean this is. Now I stopped wire brushing right about in here. So you can see where it's pulled in some dirt right up in here. And once you get dirt in there, the aluminum does not want to, your rod does not want to adhere to the part because it's dirty. Luckily this one here wasn't that dirty, but you could see it still picked up some dirt right there and drew it out of the part and tried putting it in back on top of this here. But you can kind of see clean. It's very clean, we're very consistent, and it makes a nice part when you're done. So I cleaned it. I cleaned my rod, and then once I got started and going, I focused on every little puddle that I had in there. Now aluminum, granted you have to go faster, so I put a lot of rod into it. I feed it a lot as I go, and that's my end result.